Hey guys, Lori Welch here this morning. Happy Monday. I am going to talk to you guys today about how to work with different personality types and have some notes. So I'm going to be referring to my notes, and I also have a nice cup of tea. And so come and listen with me and enjoy some tea or maybe your pink drink, and let's get started. So I am a mom of 4. I'm a grandma of 7. I started my Plexus business 7 years ago. And I would say the most important thing when you start your business, and this is going to apply to working with different personality types, is having a strong why, okay? Knowing the reason why you started this business. I started my business for a few reasons, and I'm going to get into the color personality types, how to be a good leader how to create cohesiveness on your team, and how to foster culture, and also how to respect and value and work with personalities when they are different than yours, and maybe how to bring out the best in yourself and the best in everyone else, okay? Also, I'm going to be touching on recruiting and how to work with different personality types when you're recruiting. So the reason I started my business, I am a yellow, okay? I'm a rockin' diamond. I have an amazing residual income business, huge income. I did see the income potential right away because I saw the value of the products. Once it was presented to me, I was like, wow, I'm definitely doing this for money. But my bigger reason, and this is important, it's important for you to know your bigger reason, and it's also important for you to know the reason why others might want to do this business, if it's somebody that you're trying to get interested in the business side or someone on your team. The reason it's important to know their why. And so my why was financial. I saw the reason that definitely perked my interest, and I did have a desire to be a diamond and have that income. But I also had a bigger desire and a passion, really, to help people, okay? And that's where, if you've heard of the color personalities, there's red, yellow, blue, green, and I'll describe them very briefly. A yellow's main motivation is helping, okay? They draw from a passion within where they want to help, okay? They want to make a change. They feel very passionate about something and they want to make a change in other people's lives. A red, now when I talk about a yellow, they sound like a hero, right? They have some particular, not struggles, but they have some weaknesses. There's weaknesses that go along with every color type. I'll tell you what the yellow's weakness is. Their weakness is they want to help people so much that sometimes they can be a little bit where they're focused on their own motivations a little bit too much. I didn't have that problem. I didn't care if somebody thought I was trying to sell them something because I so passionately believe in what I'm doing. So yes, I am trying to sell you something. But some yellows struggle with that, okay? Reds are more motivated by the business side. So they're like a dollars and cents kind of person. They want you to show them where the money is. Oops, lost my tripod for a sec. And there's nothing wrong with that, okay? And you're usually predominantly one personality type or color type, but you can have nuances of all of them. And so a red can get a bad rap because, you know, the yellow sounds like so helpful, right? And then the red wants to know the money. Well, you want to recruit reds because reds don't have some of the hang-ups that some of the other colors can have. Once they see a goal, they will go for it and they will treat it like a business and they will have a lot of success. A red's kind of challenge is that they can have a problem with being coachable. Because they are so fast acting, they can have a problem with being coachable, and they can have some challenges with respecting other personality types and creating a team culture where everyone seems valued, and everyone can work in that environment. So being fast-paced is awesome, being a red is awesome, but you know, there's different things that come along with every type. A green is more focused on facts. They're one of the slowest decision makers. But once you convince a green, they're solidly convinced. They're going to take a while to be convinced though. And a blue is a person that is amazing for your team culture. You really want to value those blues, but they are not the person that is going to go in the back office and find the resource on them for themselves. If you have a blue on your team, just count on the fact that you're going to have to give them their own link 20 times. You're going to have to, you know, show them where the resources are, remind them what your team schedule is. But what motivates them is the fun and the community. And blues can be amazing. They bring so much life to your group. And so knowing your why, getting back to knowing your why and the reason it's important, we are our own bosses, right? Sometimes when you are doing work for Plexus, there's 1,000 other things. You're usually at home or you're at another job, and there's 1,000 other things that are right in front of you calling for your attention. And if you are only motivated by money, I mean, if you have a real need, that's one thing that can be extremely motivating. But it's important to tap in to the bigger picture need that is behind what your goals are. Okay, so knowing your why is really important. How does that apply to you working with other people and creating a magnificent team? Is knowing the why of the person that you're working with. If it's somebody that you're recruiting, what I do is I imagine in my own mind what their lives would be like if they reach their health goals, if they reach their business goals. I remember being in somebody's house, signing her up, and she lived in a little apartment and she had several kids. And as I was there signing her up, I was imagining her life as a diamond and what it would be like. And it's not all monetary, right? But that her kids would have more room to play, that she would feel more powerful about like the decisions that she'd make, that she'd kind of take ownership over her life a little bit, that she'd be able to bring these products to a community that really needed them, and change other people's lives. So when you are tapped into your own why, and you can tap into the why of the person that you're potentially recruiting, and the person that's on your team, when you know their why, it helps you. Sometimes I feel like I want this business for the people that I have signed up. I want it for them more than they want it for themselves, right? Most of you, if you're watching this, you've felt that before too. But it helps you view them as a real person. And it helps you talk real talk with them. And sometimes it's so personal for the person for them to really share their why. And if you're very successful in this business, I have found that people, they will compare themselves to you, and it will take them a long time to really feel comfortable enough to share some of the things that might be hindering them and some of the things that are their deeper why. And it is a place where they need to be very vulnerable, and that can be difficult. And so there are steps to helping people be more vulnerable and be willing to share their why with you, so that you can work with them more effectively. And one of those is if you're a good listener. It is, if you could take a piece of paper and write you in a circle, and then write them in a circle, and just put a big X across you and put the spotlight on them, not what you want them to do, but what you want to know about them, what you want to help them with. And you gotta pick who you're gonna do this with. You're not responsible for everybody else's success. So do not take that for what I'm saying, because you're not. People need to show you their feet. They need to show you their action steps. If they're always showing up, if they're doing the IPA and reporting it in an IPA chat, if they're being accountable to you, if they're wanting to be coachable, if they're learning all the things, then your focus should be on them. And when your focus is on them, you can learn to really see their strengths, because sometimes people only see their weaknesses. Sometimes if you're a strong leader, you can have a tendency to see the areas that person needs to improve in. But what you really want to do is you want to focus on the areas that they're good at, okay? And that takes somewhat of a quiet observing. And if you're really focused on yourself as a leader, it makes it difficult for you to become that observer of that person. And your job as a leader, okay, is to make yourself invisible and to put them out front. Yes, you lead by example. You definitely lead by example. But a good leader recognizes the strengths of the people in their team, and they put them out front and grow and develop them, and they step back. They step back and they don't need to take credit for it. And they want that other person to shine. Okay, so that is what is important. If you want to develop strong leaders, if you want to work with different personality types, you want to have the person feel valued. In order for them to feel valued, you need to value them. You want to be a person that listens. This is a volunteer army that you're developing. You want a person wants to feel seen, valued, and useful. So find ways to elevate their leadership and make them feel useful. Know that if you're really going to be coaching someone in this business, they're going to need to be able to feel like they're comfortable being vulnerable. So are you a person that they can be respected and honored with and pushed? You can push somebody that you value. You will push somebody that you value. We all want to be pushed because we all have goals. When you know that person's why and you know their strengths, and there's several things you can use to determine their strength. You know their color of personality. For example, I have a blue. Okay, she's a blue. She's always beating herself up. She's such an amazing recruiter. She recruits so many people. And so she will beat herself up over the fact that she doesn't know this, or she missed this thing, and I will just be like, stop. We're going to talk about what your strengths are. These are your strengths. We're going to talk about the areas that, yes, you want your team to show up for these things, so you need to know when they are, and you need to show up. So that's what we're going to do this week. This week on this day, you're going to show up, and then I want you and your blue strength to go breathe some life into that chat over there. And so you're building that person up, and you're taking yourself out of the equation, and no credit. If you start to take credit for it, that's where your leadership development for yourself is diminishing, okay? Really is. The secret to this business is recruit people, develop leaders. They end up not needing you, and they do the same thing, and that is called freedom. If you want a lot of credit for that, you're always going to be working. So develop leaders, love on people, you'll have a way better business. So the reason you want to know a person's why is because what is the number one thing that somebody could do where they will not be successful in this business? Quit, right? Quit, not show up, let their negative stuff get in their head. So I always ask a person, once I really hear their why and they've cried and I've connected to it and all of those things, I ask them, what do you want me to do if you reach a point where you're not showing up for yourself anymore? If you reach, like, what are the words I say? What is the communication? What kind of intervention do you want me to do? And then if they say, I'll never do that, you'll just say, well, if you do, how do I bring you back to this why? And sometimes the why is all positive. Sometimes the why needs to have some negative things in it. Like, I don't want to have to sit at this desk and work the way that I am. I'm tired of it. I don't want to be in this situation anymore. So I will say to somebody, so when you're about to create a situation where you're going to be chained to that desk for the next 20 years, what do I do? How do I intervene? How do I help you? And you can't say that to somebody if you haven't really connected to their why and you don't really care. You need to be in a place where you care. And so passion. You want to draw out passion in yourself. You want to draw out passion in other people. And that is involving a real connection. So and then boundaries. Actually, I'll save that for later. So knowing somebody's color personality, knowing their disc, maybe that's a different type of personality assessment that you can do. Myers-Briggs is another. The Enneagram is great. These are all ways for you to become really good at knowing and valuing people and seeing their strengths and pulling it out. Another thing I like is Strength Finders. It helps you, it's a test online, you do have to pay for it, and it helps you determine your 5 top strengths. And it's really good for you to know somebody else's 5 top strengths, especially if you're trying to develop them as a leader and they're working with developing themselves. Okay, so boundaries is what I want to wrap this up with. Once again, I want to reiterate, if you think you are responsible for other people's success, you're not, okay? Choose who you put on your back and carry. And very few people have I ever had to carry. Usually it's a linking arms and us walking together. And that's the best thing. But sometimes you do have to carry people a little bit. So have boundaries, because this isn't a hard business, but this is an emotional business. It's important that you have boundaries around your time and around your life, and that you work on yourself, and that you have a little bit of space to feel refreshed and renewed so that you can work well with others. A lot of leadership is emotional maturity, and emotions can kind of they can get high, they can get low, right? So take care of yourself. And basically, people have 2 buckets they bring to any type of a potentially volatile situation. Because I'm kind of talking about when things don't go right sometimes. Sometimes we have relational issues, and this is about how to work with different personalities. If you are having a challenging situation where you're working with somebody and you're just not jiving, step back, like I said, take yourself out of the equation, look at them, love on them, get sincerity in your heart, think about what their strengths and their good qualities are. And part of emotional maturity is when you just kind of remove yourself. You're not offended. You don't allow yourself to get offended. You observe. You become an observer of your own emotions sometimes, and an observer of theirs. And you try to remove the emotion from it and just focus on the positive. And remember, this is a business, okay? But you can have boundaries. If it's a boundary situation, go for it. But you have 2 buckets, okay? A leader, when there's a volatile situation, you have 2 buckets. One is kerosene and one is water. that you would put on a fire. And so always be in that mindset if you are in a challenging situation. Am I going to put water or am I going to put kerosene? And if you're working with somebody and you're developing a team and you see that there's somebody that's constantly bringing kerosene, then, pull them aside, work with them, and repeat all those steps. Value them as a person, try to assess the situation. Sometimes you need to bring in another observer to help you. Thankfully, in this business, there's not too many situations like that, but if there is, I wanted to make sure that I included that in today. So, march on. Have an amazing December. Whatever you do in December will determine first half of your whole year. This is not the time to take off. This is the easy time, guys. This is the time when the worker bee gets rewarded. So have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.